Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of Romantasy Roundtable, a tale of Rick and Roses. I am Rick, and I'm joined with my roses.
Amanda.
And Kim.
What's wrong?
I don't know, Kim went back like this.
So I'm chomping on some Cheez-Its.
Prove it.
Okay, so we're all chomping on Cheez-Its.
Welcome to our Cheez-It ASMR podcast.
Love that. So we are in person for the first time in a couple weeks, recording at least. We are drinking these lovely blood cocktails.
We also haven't hung out in person, not recording.
Time is nothing right now.
Okay. We're drinking blood cocktails because in honor of the last episode of Bride, I have these reusable pouches that I got on the internet, and I put some sangria in them, and now we all have little blood bag cocktails, just like our girl Misery.
Yep. Just like our girl Misery.
And they're good.
Yeah, these are really good.
Thank you, Amanda, for
Thank you guys
being
for
the master chef for our blood cocktails.
letting me get rid of all the red wine in my home. I've gotten rid of 3 bottles of red wine in the last 2 weeks. I'm really proud.
Impressive.
I made a bottle of sangria for our 4th of July party, and I brought a bottle of red wine to the Pride party.
There you go.
Getting rid of the things.
What is this, Passover?
That's what it's all from. It's all left over from Passover.
See, I know things.
Because I used to
things.
have everybody bring a bottle of wine for Passover, and I was like, red is preferred because we're eating brisket and also blood. But I think now that we're all solidly in our late 30s and early 40s, people just like to drink what they like. We also drink less at Passover than we used to, and there's tequila shots. So this year, I think the only thing that we drank all of was the Prosecco. That's what I want to drink all the time.
Always. Yeah.
Because they drank tequila while they were walking across the desert, right?
That's absolutely correct, yes.
While singing the song.
Mm-hmm.
Tequila.
I thought they were singing the other song. Swang it.
Smang it? Let me smang it. This episode is brought to you by Turquoise Jeep. Let me smang it, girl. That's all.
There you go. So we are in our... You know what? We're not, but I'm going to say this. We're in our penultimate episode. I like that word penultimate. I never really get to use it. We are in our last episode of Bride.
Penultimate means second to last.
I know. I just like that word.
Okay. Got it.
This is the last episode of Bride. We have finished the book.
We have finished the book.
We're going to give full reviews at the end, but general feelings in the last couple chapters.
Confusion.
I'm really torn on my feelings on this book. I think my final take is I'm not the target audience. And I thought I would be. And I'm disappointed by learning that about myself.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but I think I enjoyed it less towards the end.
Agreed. The first 3/4 of this book, I was in it all the way. And it really was just... Yeah, the soup towards the end that unfortunately just...
When they got naughty?
I think we... Oh, God. I think we all learned too much about canine anatomy this week.
Yeah, we all... we'll get there. Can you see this or no?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Amanda, take us through the chapters.
All right, so we started with chapter 21. We're using some AI chapter summaries. Again, are these AI
From the bibliophile.
Okay, so they're from the bibliophile, but we've summarized them a little bit with the assistance of AI. All right, so chapter 21, Misery reflects on the injustice of the collateral system and Serena's fierce opposition to it. So we get a little flashback that a new vampire collateral arrives to replace them. Misery awakes from her recovery from poison. She learns that she was unconscious for 5 days and that war between the weres and the vampires nearly broke out. Lowe wants to send her away for safety, but she insists on staying and that they solve things together. Their intimacy escalates. Okay, well, we'll get more into that, I think. But They're interrupted by a call from her brother Owen, who says Serena's apartment was broken into. A lot of thoughts on chapter 21. Something that I do really like about the soup and all of the soupy parts of this book is that consent is a continual theme. Mm-hmm. And especially coming out of the time I got drunk and saved a demon, where my iffiness with it was that it was the dubious content, or dubious consent, that's what it's called. I appreciated that was such a theme, and it's presented in a way where the consent is a sexy part of the soup. which I liked.
I wrote this down in my note. So that at one point they said, I think Misery probably said it. She said that Serena wanted to burn the world down. But something, I don't remember exactly what. But then I had questions like, is Serena the bad guy?
Oh. You really want someone to be the bad guy that isn't who you think the bad guy is going to be.
Yeah, I do. That's really fun that way. I said, soup and a lot of it. I really love Owen. I love Owen.
I like Owen a lot.
Yeah, he like knows that they hooked up, and he's like,
is this where he's like, oh no, you are sleeping together?
Yes. Yes.
And he's like, please fuck it out of your systems.
Yeah, I love that. I have 2 other notes on things that happen in the soup here. Number 1, Misery says, and I quote, there must be something dramatically, massively compatible between us. And that was the moment, I just listened back to our last 2 episodes. That was the moment where I was like, where Rick is like, oh my God, girl. And Kim is like, maybe she just like doesn't know because it's not in her cultural like upbringing and context. I'm on team like, girl. You should have known.
Right.
So there's that bit. And then the other bit is that she keeps talking about how like awkward and clumsy he is. But we also like, she does not have...
She's not a gymnast.
Any, if all, sexual experience.
No.
A lot of, if any, sexual experience. So I'm kind of like, how does she know that he's clumsy? He's not as versed in her body as she is in her own body. Like,
right.
I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, she even acknowledges like she'd never been kissed before. So
that's what I thought. I was like, am I remembering this incorrectly? I'm pretty sure she's not sexually experienced.
No.
At all.
No.
Just with herself, I think she said.
Yeah, she talks about that, which, again, I like appreciate in a book that she's not like a virgin who's never explored her own sexuality. I would find that very unrealistic. But again, it's like, okay, but you don't know that he's clumsy then.
Right.
Like you don't know what another person interacting with you is like. Anyway, that's my initial soup thoughts.
I will say, as reading through this, and I appreciate that you brought up the whole idea of consent here, but because of him being aware and Ware being so like hierarchical and like he is the alpha, like literally the alpha, I actually wondered how you were going to respond to some of the language, because he does do a bunch of things like holds her hands behind her head, and like does say like be a good girl for me and like that kind of stuff.
That's true. Interesting. I'm learning a lot about myself today. That didn't bother me as much.
Probably because there was so much more consent.
Yeah, and I do think there are a lot of there are moments where she's like, stop. And he like fully, like he like backs up.
Yeah.
It feels like he is like dominant in that way. Obviously he's an alpha. That's like where the word comes from. But I don't feel like he's doing anything without her explicit permission. Did you feel differently?
I didn't. It just felt like there were echoes of, Kimberly Lemming in this also. And so
interesting.
Just based off that conversation, I was curious what your thoughts would be.
I'll talk about this in therapy next week. I'll dig deep as to why one book bothered me and the other one didn't.
He's not a demon.
He's not a demon. That's
there
what it comes. They're both monsters. Anything else on chapter 21?
Nope.
Chapter 22. Alex discovers Serena had contact with Thomas Gelakis. Is that how we're saying
Woo!
Gelakis?
Love that. That's great. That's
Gelakis?
way better than what I would.
What were you saying?
I don't know.
When you read, do you hear it in your head?
Sometimes, yeah.
But not all the time?
When like words like this, no.
Do you hear it?
Actually, before you got here, we were talking about name pronunciations in
Throne of Glass.
Because he was like, how do you say this? How do you say this? And I'm like, when I read it, it's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't usually.
Do you remember like 10 episodes ago where you couldn't stop saying nom shikrai?
Nom shikrai.
All right, Thomas Gelakis.
I think I said Jalakis or yeah, but that's
I
way
thought
better.
it was Halakis, honestly. I think I was trying to make it Halakha. Okay, a former human so he was like in the Human Wear Bureau. They think he might be Anna's father, and he's dead. He died very recently in a car accident, and Lowe suspects foul play. Lowe arranges dinner with Governor Davenport, who appointed Thomas, hoping for answers. And that night, Lowe offers his blood to Misery, deepening their bond, though he says they can't have sex due to species differences. So this is, we get
questions.
Okay.
You know?
Right? This was, like, the end of this chapter was the first ick.
What? Okay, I want to back up though. The epigraph.
Sure. The beginning
quote
part
at the beginning for this chapter was, "She makes him want to draw again."
Aww.
And I really loved that. Okay,
That's
the
Feyre.
cat's the cat's safe. That's important.
Hold up. Yes, the cat is safe, but I wrote this down. I really thought it was funny. Misery was like, "The cat hasn't been fed. How long can a cat go without eating? A week? A month?"
Another quote I liked was, "Humans are apparently big on thank you gifts. I read it online." Another thing that I liked here was she asks him a question, or he asks her a question, and she says, he has his answer, but he's willing to wait for me to find mine. And so there's all this stuff going on for him, and we don't understand it, and we're not being asked to understand it yet. Something that I like here is that they're doing all these soupy things, and she's like, "But we're not having sex." And he's like, "It's all sex."
Yes.
Which I really love, especially in a cishet. Can you be cisgender if you're a werewolf? Sure. In a cishet romance, that we're still getting this concept of actually, penetrative sex is not the only kind of sex. She also says in this, "I wish I was your mate."
Yep, I wrote that down too.
Girl.
Please, for the love of God. Allie, come on. Come on, Allie.
300 pages of being what's a mate? Am I your mate?
How is she so smart and so dumb? I don't get it.
I mean, so is Violet, though.
Yeah.
In different ways, but...
Yeah, I mean, yes, sure. But, this is not a way to be dumb.
I agree.
I don't
know.
So should we talk about the cliffhanger?
I think we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so...
Well, go, yeah. Let me start, because I was absolutely the most confused.
I need some Cheez-Its.
I didn't really understand. He was like, "Here, grab me," or something like that. And she puts his hand on him, and he's like, "That's my knot."
He doesn't say it yet.
He doesn't say it.
Oh, what is it? He said? What is he says? Something. He's like, "We're incompatible."
No, she says she's just like, "Oh no, maybe we're not compatible."
Right, because he's anatomically.
Oh, yeah.
So she tells him to stop, and he backs up, and she says, "Do you have a condom?" And he says, "No, we don't need one."
Yeah. Sorry.
And she's like, wait, what are you talking about? And he's like, "We're not anatomically compatible." And he's like, "I'll show you."
Yeah.
And then I think we do get in this chapter that there's something
a bulge?
swelling.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wrote I don't know what's going on. I'm not good with biology. I don't get it.
All of it, yeah, because it talks about a swelling of a sac. It was not.
Right.
It was not a pretty picture in my head.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I was like, is there something wrong with his testicles?
Right.
Yeah.
That was
That's
what I was thinking.
I was like, what the heck is happening here? And also, way to leave off the chapter also. And you don't come back to it for 2 more chapters.
For a while.
And
Yeah.
so all you're left is just there's something really, what feels as a human, really weird happening here.
He should go to a doctor.
Exactly.
Agreed. Okay. Chapter 23. Lowe and Misery visit Governor Davenport, bringing an expensive gift as a cover. During dinner, Lowe manipulates the conversation to bring up Thomas, prompting Davenport to admit that he had Thomas killed to cover up embezzlement. Misery remains suspicious, believing Serena wouldn't disappear over financial crimes alone. Lowe agrees to arrange a meeting with Owen. A quote that I like here is when they meet the governor, Misery says, "His wife is definitely not his first."
Yeah.
And I thought that I'm going to use that. And so Lowe kind of presents to Misery at this point maybe Serena disappeared on purpose, maybe she's involved in something shady, maybe Misery doesn't want to accept that as an option.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting alternative theory that he presents, where he's like, you had this big fight. Did she perhaps orchestrate this fight knowing that she would be leaving? And also, she wanted you to care for something, and so she had literally just adopted this cat and that disappeared, and now she knew that you would come looking for her and find it. So, I mean, obviously it's all a big red herring, but it actually was compelling.
I thought there was a really fun, interesting part in the beginning of this chapter, where they're like, how do you have so much money? And He's like, oh, we have a great investment portfolio.
I wrote that too. I was like, oh, the money stuff. Okay.
I just thought it was funny. It was like real. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, and I like that.
Well, at first he was like, because we robbed banks.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? And
Like,
he's
no,
like,
you idiot. We know to invest our money well.
But she is an idiot.
She's so stupid. God. And I think maybe this is okay. I wrote something down, and I'll skip a little, like you think some you just said, Kim, but a little to later. But this is one of the reasons why the end of the book really decreased for me. I said Owen brought Lowe's girl. He brought what's her name? Gabby. And it's like drama until it wasn't.
I didn't think there was going to be drama at all.
I really did.
This is not a spoiler that I've received. Gabby's going to be the heroine of book 3. She is being presented in a way
That's great,
that
yeah.
she's going to have her own story.
No.
That's not a spoiler. That's just a prediction that I have. Like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff about Gabby. Like, we learned about where she went to school. We learned about, like, what she's into. Maybe it's Gabby and Owen. I don't know. But I think Gabby's going to get her own story.
But I think like you had said
that Lowe would be Gabby's mate.
Right.
Gabby was
Right.
Lowe's
Yes.
mate.
So I was like, oh, there's going to be something going on.
I do still have questions because we haven't learned it yet, but we learned that Gabby volunteered to be the collateral. So
Right.
I do kind of have questions about why she volunteered.
But like, I was like, oh, that's a good idea. It was literally nothing. And like all the things that like you just said before that I was like, oh, you want something to happen you want a twisty thing, like something out of the ordinary to happen, and like nothing happens. Even like the big twist wasn't really twisty.
Yeah, I think it's just not that
type of book.
As a fantasy novel, it's not that deep.
Right.
Fair.
It reads a lot more like a romance novel than a fantasy novel.
Yeah.
And I think romantasies often like straddle that line, but I think this is a romance book that happens to be about werewolves and vampires.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it is Ali's first.
That's it.
Romantasy.
Yeah.
So she's been straight romance until now.
So chapter 24, so Misery and Lowe are meeting with Owen. Owen brings Gabby. Owen reveals that he plans to dismantle the collateral system and wants Misery's support. It started when her father sent her into danger, but basically like Owen is like, I'm gonna upend the system. The system sucks. And like, I'm gonna steal Dad's seat. Misery is surprised by Owen's growth and his ideals. She also realizes that Gabby is not Lowe's mate.
Oh my God.
Here are my notes. Are you ready?
Yes.
Gabby seems chill. Owen is a vibe. We always gotta upend the system. The system sucks.
Love that.
It's about damn time. Those are all my notes.
But he is also, like, he starts by saying, I'm going to challenge Dad for his council seat.
Yeah.
And she's like, you literally can't do that. He will kill you. Like, the last time this happened, the person was just, like, straight up taken out.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I've been cultivating all of these contacts and et cetera. And she was like, I don't believe you. And he's like, no, I've been doing this 4 months.
Right.
Like,
she was
literally.
like, this is like your harebrained last minute. And he's like, no, I've been doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
And he had said, I couldn't help you when we were kids, but I can do something about it now. And so, yeah, I do like his growth arc here. From
I like
being
Owen.
just like the party boy to being the like, I'm a party boy with ideals and a dream.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, is he bad? And it's like, oh, no, he's good. Like, he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, we do kind of, you got a roller coaster with Owen, which
Yeah.
I appreciate.
My note for this is, I hate how stupid she is.
Again.
Owen does say, you are displaying more feelings than usual. Are you not well? Which I loved.
My last my last note from this chapter is, you're so dumb. So, those are my feelings about Misery.
Yes. Okay. Chapter 25, they go to Misery's apartment, and Misery confronts Lowe about Gabby, and he admits that he lied. So the requirements for someone to be a collateral is that they have to be related to the people in power, and so they made the argument that that a mate was the same as like a blood relative, because Lowe's only living blood relative is Anna, and he's obviously not going to send Anna. So they were like, we're not going to send a collateral at all, and then Gabby volunteers. Gabby's not his mate, Gabby's volunteer. Misery and Lowe finally have sex. I would argue they've been having a lot of sex. But
Yes.
afterwards, Lowe pulls away and says, so there's a lot of soup here. I wrote, too much wolf anatomy, maybe.
Yep.
Which, famous last words, Amanda. And so they're having sex for a long time.
Yeah,
he's
bottom of the chapter.
Yeah, he's
like 70%.
Pulling back and then going back at it, and then pulling back and going back at it because
they're like mostly in the kitchen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mostly standing up. It
was, but when it's over, Misery is like, I don't have a lot of experience with feelings, but like basically she was like, "Am I your mate?" And he's like, "No, I'm sorry that I gave you the wrong impression about my feelings. We should get some distance between us." And he leaves.
Yep.
I think the harshest thing that he says in this chapter is don't throw around terms that you don't understand.
And he says it a couple times in the rest of the book.
Yeah.
He does say it again.
And I'm like, that is unnecessarily harsh.
Yeah. I mean, he's like intentionally trying to break her heart so that she'll back off. I don't love this.
No, I don't
I didn't like where this went either.
I was like, we didn't have to do this. Like, we could have forced separation between them in some
other way.
It didn't have to be like this.
I looked up what a knot is, and that's a thing.
Did you look up pictures too?
I did not look up pictures.
Oh, there's a picture right on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's right there.
Right there.
Well, if we've all looked it up, so go ahead and talk about knots while I look this up.
Okay, so we find out that what is going on with Lowe is that he has something called a knot, which is a gland. We're going to be real explicit. It's a gland in the base of the penis that swells, so that when dogs or wolves are mating, they become locked or tied into place to keep things in place and increase... Trap the semen, thank you. To increase the chance of procreation. It's an evolutionary thing. Wolves have this in real life, and so do dogs, and I didn't like learning that.
And I was reading this, I was in Vermont for the long weekend with a couple of friends.
God.
Rick has found the photo of the knot.
It's right on the Wikipedia page.
All right.
Now he knows the pain that we had already gone through.
Lord.
But I was in Vermont with a couple of friends and, keeping them updated with what was happening in the story, and also got to this and was like, what the fuck? And so, ended up reading some of this out loud to them. But my friend Sam from across the room was like, and actually... female wolves have an extra set of muscles that clamp down and keep the knot also intact in there. And I was like, Sam, why do you know that?
So, and that's why he keeps being like, we're not compatible, because she doesn't have that extra set of muscles. And so he thinks he's going to hurt her. I was reading this, as I do most of my reading, on my couch with my dog. And I felt like I was like, Saket, you can't be here for this. Like, this is really upsetting to me for you to witness. Saket, I know she can't read.
Close your ears and eyes.
You can't know that I know this. You can't know this. Pure, perfect puppy girl.
Yeah, so that was a lot.
Okay, so chapter 26. So Lowe leaves, and Misery is like, get fine. She goes to take a shower, and then Lowe is like, I'll send somebody to come get you. So he sends Mick to come get her, and Mick drugs her, and Misery wakes up imprisoned with Serena in some room somewhere. Serena explains that she was kidnapped after discovering... Is this... Okay. I don't know. I feel like we've skipped it.
No,
this is
it. This is it.
I thought that was chapter 27.
There's more into it, I believe.
Okay, well, whatever. Misery is with Serena. She was kidnapped after discovering Anna's hybrid identity during an investigation into Governor Davenport.
Actually, you're right.
Stop there. Yeah.
No,
So
you're right.
Chapter 26, she just gets drugged, and then she ends up somewhere, and then chapter 27 starts with her realizing that it's Serena.
Right, but even before, my only note for chapter 26 is she's sad. But Mick kidnaps her?
Yeah. Mick was the only second... We, learn about this, but Mick was the only second to stay between Roscoe and Lowe. And so this was, really... That's a blow.
Yeah.
I would like to send an apology out to Juno who all three of us in the last episode were
Thought she was a rat.
oh yeah, you're the rat. You're the one who's doing bad here.
And
didn't
spoilers,
even expect that it was Mick.
in a couple of chapters, Juno is going to frolic into the woods.
Yep.
Which is like the most precious moment in the whole book.
Right.
So like, I'm sorry, Juno.
Sorry for the one female were that we actually got to know and immediately turned into
I'm sorry, Juno. Maybe you're the hero of the third book.
I've always liked you, Juno.
Are you just saying that because she's a werewolf and you're scared of her?
Yes.
All right, so chapter, I no longer know what's happening in these chapters.
You can do 26 and 27 together, probably.
Okay, so
Like from
she's
where
with
we-
Serena, and we find out that Serena was kidnapped, and they attempt to escape, and they realize that they are in the nest in vampire territory, and just as they're near the exit, Vanya intercepts them.
Is that 27? Right?
That's the end of 27, yeah.
Let's see. I said she's with Serena, who's not dead.
Not dead.
I knew Serena wasn't dead.
Yeah, because you read the spoilers.
Well, I'll talk about that at the end.
I also knew Serena wasn't dead.
I mean, you thought you knew that in your heart.
And my heart was right.
What I said in the first episode when I didn't know whether or not Serena was dead, I didn't know whether she was dead or alive because I didn't know if the second book happened after or concurrently with the first book. But I assumed that she was alive because I knew that she was the protagonist of the second book. But in the first episode of this pod, I didn't know that yet. And all I said was, the last time I read a book where somebody was missing, they were dead. So I don't know.
I knew she wasn't dead. What else did I say? I said I like them together. Like, she wrote them together really well. It like felt like they were actually friends, just like bullshitting with each other. So I like that a lot. Sparkle's name was Sylvester, which is
Like
cute.
Tweety and Sylvester.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was fine with them together. It wasn't my breed of friendship, but they seemed happy, so it's fine. They're both weird. They're outcasts. It's fine.
Right. And they're not like touchy-feely. They say that they're
Yeah.
like, we're not going to hug it out. We're not going to say I love you.
Yeah, but they like call each other like
fuck waffles.
Yeah, and that's like not my breed of friendship, but it's fine.
She's a bro. I love her.
It's fine.
Also, why does everybody know the term fuck waffle? Because like Cohen says it, and then Serena says it.
Yeah.
And there's a connection, as we'll get to, but like, not here, not yet. They don't know each other at this moment in time.
I know, but they're
They're getting
destined.
there. Yep.
But they're not destined to know the term fuck waffle.
Maybe that's part. We don't know. We don't know. Okay.
Like the ballroom.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and explain that one?
So we were playing this game yesterday, and it was
Blank Slate. This episode is brought to you by the game Blank Slate. We loved it.
Yeah.
Great
Cheez-Its.
game.
and Cheez-Its.
And Cheez-Its.
So I think it was ball blank, right? Yeah. So basically, it's like a fill in the blank like word association game, and you write the first thing that comes to your head. So like maybe if it was like dog blank, you like dog treat, dog toy,
house.
dog house, right? So the word that what came up was ball blank, ball blank. That's right. Based on all the books we've been reading, ball gag.
Well, okay, Brooke's daughter was in the room, so it was not ball gag. I think I wrote like ball bearing or something.
Nice. Yeah.
And I write ballroom. And somebody else writes ballroom, so we get it right. And Amanda's there like, and honestly, like from her soul, is like, what's a ballroom?
And as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, because I was so visually tied to the idea of like a sports ball that I couldn't imagine. I was like, oh my God, ball gown. Like I like got there. But I would like to say that somebody that we were with was our friend Mary, and Mary has previously said things such as, which are the main continents, and 8 minus 2 is not 6. So, I got 1. Thank you.
Chalice.
It's like a cup.
It's like a cup. Do you have anything with this chapter, Kimberly?
I think I've said my piece.
Great.
Okay, we're on chapter 28.
They're in the nest.
They're in the nest.
They're in the
Dun,
nest.
dun, dun. Kidnapped by vampires.
And werewolves are there.
Everybody's
Shenanigans.
there. Yeah.
So Misery is taken to her dad, who admits to using Mick's son to control Mick. He reveals that both Serena and Anna are hybrids, and Serena's investigation triggered political panic. Lowe and Owen are brought in. And Councilman Lark tries to force Lowe to surrender Anna. Misery hints in code that Serena is aware and that Serena can shift. And so she and Lowe shift, and they fight back when the cue is given. Councilman Lark is really into this concept of like the good of the most, the good of the many, which I don't like. But yeah, so he like turns to Lowe, and he's like, he knows that Misery is Lowe's mate. And so he's like, Lowe is going to, what's he trying to get Lowe to do?
Tell them where Anna was.
Tell them where Anna is. And he's like, Lowe's going to do it because you're going to tell him to, because you're his mate and he'll do it. And I feel like in this situation, like he puts Lowe in this impossible situation where like he's damned if he lies and is like, Misery's not my mate, because then he's going to kill Misery. And he's damned if he tells the truth and he's like, Misery is my mate, because then he's going to kill Anna. So like he's kind of put in this like tough situation. But then Serena knows that, or Misery knows that Serena can shift, and Misery says something to Serena that's like, I'm gonna die, but just tell Anna that thing she can't do yet, it's okay, it'll probably kick in around the time she's like 26 or so.
Yeah.
And so Lowe gets the hint. I was worried about Owen here because he walks Lowe in, and I was like, come on, like we just learned that Owen was good. Is he in on it?
Same.
But apparently it was all part of the plan. Lowe's not really in handcuffs, and so when Misery hints that to Lowe, Lowe is like, now, and Owen lets him go, and Lowe and Serena just fuck shit up.
Yeah, they do. But I wrote this later because I realized it like 2 chapters later. They fuck shit up, and we don't see it. I'm like, I really would have liked to see Lowe fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And we never see, like, we've only seen him as a fluffy little wolf, right? Like, I want to see him like tearing shit up, and we don't. So that was a little disappointing, and I realized that later. I have some. Go ahead.
I thought her coded message to Lowe about like, tell Anna that thing she can't do. It's like, that's not coded at all. Like, that is just really fucking obvious. And if anybody in the room had thought twice about it, they probably would have figured out that Serena was able to shift.
Yeah. I don't think anyone in the room was going to think twice about it. Because they're, like, I feel like the vampires are, like, so arrogant that they're not.
Fair.
They're not doing that.
But I will say I'm going to take my point, since I lost the point for Serena being alive. Because I did say in previous episodes that I thought that Misery was going to be called by the vampires at some point to do something for the good of the many. And so this was that moment where she was back and basically being asked.
And she...
well, not asked. Basically being...
Told. Forced.
/ held at knife point.
Threatened.
I wrote that, this is going to go into the next chapters towards the end, but I really don't like that, like, they're holding Mick accountable to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like
they are, but they aren't. They don't really get into it, but they're...
Yeah.
But they have questioned, they're like, oh, he's in prison, and we don't know what we're going to do with him. Like, he took his son. I'm like, it's like, he didn't really have a choice. You know, like, I don't know. I didn't love that.
I did think the way that they explained Mick's scent to be interesting.
Yeah, I liked that too.
Because Lowe was like, I knew his scent wasn't right, but I thought it was just because he was so grief-stricken about his son, when in reality it was because he was like lying and in it with the vampires, and also grief-stricken about his son. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So Mick was, this is chapter 29, Mick was behind Serena's break-in, but he was under duress. And so, like you're saying, they're like holding him accountable for it. I think it's complicated. I think also, like, kind of the big takeaway here is that, like, the whole vampire system is bad.
Yes.
Right.
Like,
and I
in the
feel
last
like,
chapter, we learned that the dad, Seth, created the collateral system.
Yeah. And so I feel like we're supposed to, like, maybe we're supposed to think the where system is good, but also, like, maybe it's not. And so, like, I think kind of figuring out what to do with Mick is, like, indicative of, like, the where system is also not, and it's not good. Like, maybe all the systems are bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
I love that.
Yeah. You love when systems are bad.
I'd vote for you.
Thanks.
System goes down.
So Councilman Lark is taken prisoner. Owen announces that he's going to take control and undo their legacy. He offers Misery the council seat. She's like, no, thank you. He says that he and Lowe are basically best friends. And Lowe is like, what's happening now? And Misery and Serena share a vulnerable reunion. I wrote cute sister stuff, but my sister and I don't talk like that, really. So that's kind of where I was at. But Misery chooses to step back. She doesn't want to be involved in them deciding what to do with her dad.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
The only other...
Shit might have gotten fucked up. It might not have gotten fucked up. We don't know.
Yeah, the only other thing I have here is that Misery is made fun of for like not knowing what happens to the wearer's clothes when they shift.
That was funny.
And was it Juno who was like, what did you think it was going to be? Like a wolf in a sweater vest and a bow tie? It's Juno or Alex or like somebody that we like. Because we've always liked Juno. Me
and my friends always used to joke about like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, how many freaking shorts does he have?
Exactly. All right, so chapter 30, Misery spends time with Serena while Lowe handles the political fallout. She's surprised to learn that she's not required to return as collateral, but she visits Lowe and she finds her things packed up. Serena and Juno prance into the woods in wolf form, which is really cute. She also says that she and Serena like took trigonometry when they were 12, and I was like, okay, I'm good at math, but I'm not that good at math. Sorry.
Am I a wolf or a vampire?
I'm neither. That's true. Don't stab me. So then she confronts Lowe, and she's like, "What's the problem?" And he's like, "You're not a problem. You're a privilege." He confesses his...
I love that line. I wrote that down.
I wrote that down. He confesses his desire for her, but he's really... So he's, like, afraid that he's, like, if you... Like, yes, you're my mate, but, like, if you say yes to me now, I'm not going to be able to let you go 5 days, 5 months, 5 years from now. So, like, you got to be in it to win it. And she's like, I am in it to win it. And the whole rest of the chapter is soup.
Naughty soup.
Not right.
Naughty soup. And there's soupy after talk, and then there's shower soup.
Okay, so I'm really struggling with this because I like the soup, but I don't like that the anatomy is not human. And so I'm struggling with like, I like everything about it, and then there's like literally one word in the dirty talk that I'm like, oh, and it's like a jump scare. I don't know. I don't know.
This is our first step into that one with a minotaur on the cover.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god. I think when you said like, why do I like this soup and I don't like demon soup, I think my big takeaway is like, maybe I just don't like monster soup.
Yeah.
Like when we had fairy soup, like they were fairies, and when we had dragon rider soup, they were human.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I just don't like when the anatomy is different.
Well, I also think it, as you mentioned before, like this is canine anatomy, and so I think it's too easy for us to...
We all have dogs.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. To think about our own little fur babies and not want to go there. And then it feels like bestiality.
Yes. I think that's the hard part for me. But it's like, I like their dynamic.
Yeah.
And I like the way they talk about and during sex.
But
it's just like, then he's like, I don't know.
But here's I'm not trying to like, I'm just throwing this out there. She's also not human. I know, and I think that's why I'm torn about it, because I'm like a little okay with it, but I don't know. I think
Well, we haven't even talked about like the feeding on him part of it also.
That's true. Yeah, she there's also that piece. So I guess it's like supposed to be like she sucks his blood and he knots her.
Now I'm gonna drink my blood cocktail.
So it's funny. So something connected to my notes when you were like,
don't use the word connected right now,
guys. I should have made like garlic knots or something.
Oh my god!
To go with our blood cocktail.
Okay, we're gonna order pizza. We're gonna get garlic knots.
When you were like, oh, if you leave, you can't. If you're saying yes, you can't leave. Blah 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 blah.
He doesn't say that.
Whatever. He says it real close to it, though.
He says it's going to be really hard for me to let you leave.
Right.
Yeah, it felt a little more alpha than that to me. But
and he says he's wanting her to feel her own feelings, and I wrote, he's worried he'll trap her. Tamlin? Tamlin anyone, but we hate Tamlin.
We don't hate Tamlin.
Oh, now we don't hate Tamlin.
This is not the Akatar episode.
I'm just saying. Justice for Tamlin. Okay?
After this, we are playing our Pong to figure out our next book read. And so it might be the speed read.
I think I'm going to make that shirt.
Justice for Tamlin?
Yeah.
I'm going to
Gross.
look on Etsy and see if it already
Right?
exists.
something like that has got to exist.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
We get a little epilogue.
Epilogue from Lowe's perspective.
You know I love that. Which means
There's
I don't love
no justice for Tamlin shirts. Okay. Misery and Lowe prepare Anna's room for her return, and Cohen brings Anna back. And when Cohen meets Serena, there's an immediate spark.
Cohen's like, yo, what's up, girl? I love that.
If it's a spark.
No, there's a thing. There's absolutely a spark.
We know it's a thing because we know that they are the story of book 2.
No,
But we don't know that they're mates.
Cohen says like
They don't.
Except for
That's
the
not.
fact that it is called mate.
Cohen says like, oh shit, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
He says,
Which is what
says,
he-
oh fuck, I'm in trouble.
Right.
But that's like what he says to Lowe when he sees that Lowe's with his mate, because they're bros.
Yeah.
Slash.
Right, he walks
Father
in
figure.
and he said, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And then he says, oh fuck, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he says like, I knew you'd like be in trouble when you found her or something.
Cohen's the Riddick of this book.
Yeah, I really like Cohen.
And he's got Amanda.
Oh, he does.
Right?
No, it's me.
It's you.
No, I'm Alex. I stand Alex. Okay, so I
What
won't.
happens to Amanda if he just found his mate and
Okay, fair. All right, so I will now reveal my spoiler. So in the first episode, I said that I had received a small spoiler, and then the second episode, I told you I had received a larger spoiler. In the first episode, I had looked to see if the book Mate was a continuation about the same characters, or if it was going to be like other Ali Hazelwood novels, just a book in the same universe. And I read the description on Goodreads of the book Mate, and the first words are like, a human were hybrid. And I shut it down immediately and was like, oh my God, I wasn't supposed to know that. And so I stopped reading. And so I said in the first episode, I was like, I know something, but I don't know a lot of things. And then in the first episode, I make this prediction that Serena is a human rare hybrid. And I'm like, oh shit, as I'm reading the second section, I'm like, they're gonna think that that's my spoiler. And I was being cheeky and like lying and making a prediction that wasn't spoiled for me.
Amanda was being Rick.
So then I read the next few lines. A human hybrid and an alpha were claw against the bounds of fate in the highly anticipated companion novel to the New York Times best-selling Bride. Serena Paris is, and then I stopped. And I said, okay, so now I know that I'm right about Serena, and I stopped.
Who's the alpha were?
And then in the second episode, I predicted that based on the way they introduced Cohen, that Cohen was going to be a love interest in a future book. As I keep reading, Serena Paris...
You said they would have like a novel about the Northwest Pack.
Yeah. Serena Paris is orphan, packless, and one of a kind. Coming forward as the first human were hybrid was supposed to heal a centuries-long rift between species. Instead, it made her a target, prey to the ruthless political machinations between wares, vampires, and humans. With her enemies closing in on her, she has only one option left, if he'll have her. As the alpha of the Northwest Pack, Cohen Alexander commands obedience. His authority is so absolute, only a fool would threaten his mate. It doesn't matter if Serena doesn't reciprocate his feelings, but nothing will stop him from keeping her safe. But power-hungry vampires and wares are not the only threats chasing Serena. Sooner or later, her past is bound to catch up with her, and Cohen might be the only thing standing between her and total annihilation. So to recap, I had a small spoiler, I made a prediction, which led me to receive a larger spoiler. I made a prediction. And the information for all of those spoilers was right in front of me all along. But I promise all of my predictions were made in good faith.
No, I believe you, because I said when she was having those nightmares, I was like, there's something with her past. I think I said she's probably like a werewolf as well.
Yeah. Well, and
I brought up the scent thing.
Yeah. And in the second set of chapters, we were reading the summaries, and one of the summaries was like, oh, Lowe said he used to scratch Anna's head like that. And I was like, no, I know for certain that it was that Misery used to scratch Serena's head like that.
Yeah.
Because that was the moment where I Googled it.
Fair.
All right.
So now we know when there's a series, we do not read the book jacket for book 2.
Don't look at me like that.
You've done it like 3 books in a row.
That's not true.
It is very true.
I did it this one time.
That's not true. That is not true. Dead parents.
Okay, but I Googled it. I didn't read the book jacket.
Doesn't matter. You look shit up. Use ChatGPT. Say, give me this answer without spoilers.
I don't know.
Kim, defend my honor.
No.
What else are we reading?
Well, don't we have to rate this?
Oh man. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, out of 5 stars, I try really hard not to do the half a star thing, but I think it's warranted in this situation. So, you know why? Because Goodreads doesn't allow you to give half stars.
Yeah, but Storygraph does.
Right. I really believe in a 10-point system, not a 5-point system.
Which is a 5-point system with half stars.
Right.
What?
A 5 with half stars is a 10-point system.
Yes. No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. I thought it started really strong. It didn't really, nothing shocked me at the end. I was like, oh, okay, it's Dad. That's boring. I was like, oh, and his reasons are also, boring. Yeah, okay, Serena, sure. It started strong, started good, and it didn't fall flat. It just didn't land well. So I'm going to give it 3.5 stars.
I also gave it 3.5 stars. That is my standard, this was a nice romance that I enjoyed rating. And this was a nice romance that I enjoyed. There was some stuff I liked about it. There was some stuff I didn't like about it. I feel like that's the rating that I give to lots of books in this category. So it's 3.5 for me.
3.5 for me also, which I am disappointed about because when we first started into this book, I was like, oh, this is 5 stars.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
The characters are good. The dialogue was good. The soup originally was good. And then, it just sort of it didn't land.
I read a lot of reviews about this after we finished the book. And a lot of them were like, this reads like fan fiction.
Yeah.
And I think that's Ali Hazelwood is better than this book.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe she just didn't know how to land the plane.
Yeah, and maybe she will in the second book. You know, I'm glad we read it.
No,
I'm happy to read the second one.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I give lots of books 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
I was talking to Mary about books yesterday, and she was like, I liked that book. It was pretty good. 2.5 stars. And I was like, that is not a good grade. And she was like, well, you're always easier grading than I am. And I was like,
2.5 is
that's a 50%.
Yeah, it's 50.
Right?
That's literally a fail.
Okay, soup.
I know soup is complicated, but for me, I'm gonna have to remove that weird part because it is real. It's not like she made it up. So
it would be weird for a werewolf not to have that.
Yeah. So I'll give the soup 4 stars. I'll give it 4 stars. It was good soup.
That's my door. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm between giving the soup 5 stars and giving the soup 0 stars with absolutely no in between. So 4 feels fine to me.
I'll say 4. I was going to say 3.5. But if we're sticking with 4, we could do 4.
All right. It's an official 3.5 star 4 soup can book.
What are we reading?
What else are we reading?
I am an Assassin's Blade now. I have completed an Assassin's Blade. I have all the blades. I am now a Throne of Glass.
You are a Throne of Glass.
I am almost a Throne of Glass. I'm in the middle of Throne of Glass, learning about Serena Sardothian and friends, and it's really good.
Selena
Sardothian, and it's really good. It is a very, very good book, and I'm looked at the ratings for the other books, the ratings, the stars, not the reviews. I'm not a fool, and they get better and better. And the last book, it's got a 4.7 on Goodreads, which is really impressive.
That's really good.
So,
although my argument was that it's 8 books long, and so if you have made it all the way to the last book,
you're committed.
You are committed, and you are probably inclined to like it.
That's what
I gave that book 4 stars, so it's not bad.
What are you reading, Amanda?
Okay, since we last spoke, I finished The Teller of Small Fortunes. I ended up liking it in the end a lot more than I thought I would. I think I gave it 3 stars. I might have given it 3.5 stars. Hold on. Recently read. recently read.
Rihanna's about to walk in the door.
Is not my favorite app. I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, it was cute. It was very cozy. Fantasy, not romance. But it was cute. And then I read just a sharp turn, Bright Young Women, which is a thriller that is a fictionalized story about the women involved, the women who were murdered or witnessed the Ted Bundy murders. Ted Bundy's name is never mentioned in the book, which I really liked. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. I kind of wish that they were real people and that I was just hearing real people's stories rather than like the fictionalized stories. But I really liked that they like never said Ted Bundy's name and they really focused on the women. And that like the assertion of the book is basically that like the defendant, as they call him, the defendant wasn't smart, he wasn't handsome, he wasn't charming, he wasn't any of those things, and the women weren't, you know, overcome with attraction to him. Like everyone just benefited from the patriarchy and from a misogynistic society, which was really cool. So I liked it, and now I'm in a book rut.
Oh, okay. Well, we gotta play Pong so you can get out of the book rut.
I've started like 3 books since then. Hi.
Brianna just walked in.
Hello, I'm so sweating, guys.
It's
terrible outside.
Brutal out there.
I finished the novella for The Crowns of Nyaxia, which is 6 Scorched Roses.
6 Scorched Roses.
Say that 10 times fast.
Right.
No.
And I thought it was excellent. So works as a standalone story, but also does introduce a couple of characters that are now in the second full-length book of the series. But it was great. It was short, but it was really well done.
3 stars.
Really great world building. I gave it 5. I just said that. Gave it 5 on Goodreads. And I'm about halfway through now the next Crowns of Nyaxia book.
Yeah, those books are great. I also gave that novella 5 stars. That was so good.
Everything that I read when I was like, what fantasy books should we read next? Everything said Crowns of Nyaxia, and you guys have already read them. So I guess I have to read them so we can pod about them.
Yeah, no, they're great. They're really,
but I'm
really
reading
good.
all this other stuff that's not romantasy.
Well, then that's your problem.
All right.
That's a problem.
You got 1 spot left on your Rift Bodice bingo card. Or did you get the bingo?
No, so I have to read. I just got my Hold for Queen Bee is up, so I just got that, and that will get me the punny title, which will get me double bingo. But now I'm like, okay, well, where else? Like, there's a bunch where I only have to read 2 more. So like, I don't understand why I'm like this. I can't just read. I have to achieve things.
Yeah, I similarly, like, I wanted the award for the river. You gave me the book that like doubled it up last time.
Oh yeah, like The River Has Roots.
Yeah, and I like spite read it. I was like, this is fine, but it's not what I'm going to be reading at all. Like,
Yeah.
but I'll finish it. And then I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to just stay in my lane and read what I like.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think it's like forcing me, like needing to do all the Goodreads things is like forcing me out of my box a little bit, which I do like. I've read a lot of things through that I've enjoyed. I don't think I would have read Bright Young Women otherwise, and I'm really glad I read that. Yeah, for the Rift Bodice one, I'm just like, I think they're all supposed to be romance novels, and I'm not sticking to that. Like, I'm just reading stuff that counts. There's also like the fantasy romance subreddit also has a bingo.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's not even like, I just like the fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, that's where I want to, that's where I'm trying to live.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
give me not the real world, you know?
Okay, so we are going to take a long pause here because we want to tell you what you're going to read next, but we don't know yet. So we're going to play Prosecco Pong to determine what our next book is. We
3P
have
party, Prosecco, Pong, and a parent.
That's
and
me. I did it.
a parent. So we have 10 options for what we're going to read. And then the last man standing is the winner. And then we've added an extra challenge, which is that each of us has predicted a winner. The 4 hosts of our podcast, Kim, Amanda, Rick, and ChatGPT, have all selected a prediction. And then if no one was right, there is also a thing that will happen. So
Shots.
whichever one, if any of us is right, we get to force everybody to read another book. And those are all written in little cards that are all sealed up. So we'll see you
Soon.
soon.
On the flip side.
We'll be drunker.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye for now. And we're back. So we played
Book Pong.
Book Pong, and it was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually, while Rick is talking, I'm gonna find the creator that we stole this from.
Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yep. Cider can.
So
ASMR.
we had a great game where it was like we each secretly picked a book that we thought was gonna win. Like, you know, you're betting on horses, but we don't do that because we're quicker. But one of us won.
That's
It was
true.
me.
So we played beer pong. Like, we picked all the books in the last man standing, and then we also had our secret game. Did we explain all that already?
I think so.
Okay.
But Kim won.
Kim won.
I won.
This beer pong game, book pong, came from at forced_proximity on Instagram. Her name is Tori Boz, and she is 1/3 of the Spantish Club, which seems to be another podcast about books. So perhaps check them out. But so Kim, what are we reading? And what else are we reading?
We are reading Phantasma.
Yay!
Is the one that won. I won. I will say that if we were playing by actual beer pong rules, Rick probably won.
Yeah, Rick sunk the most, and then Kim and I each sunk 2.
Yeah.
So Rick sunk 8, and we each sunk 2.
6.
6.
Because there's 10 cans.
Look.
Look, come on.
Look.
man.
Stop.
I know earlier in this podcast I said I was good at math, but it's July.
No
And
matter.
we're 3 bloods in
Yeah,
or something.
sure.
So we're reading Phantasma, which is phantasmic. We're excited. And then we had the
Phantasmic
secondary.
is a ride at Disney World, just so you know.
It is.
No, that's Filler Magic. Phantasmic is the show.
Okay, we're bad at all this today.
Wow.
A chalice is like a cup.
Look. All right, sorry, Kim.
But then because I won, I got to pick another book that we are going to read collectively. We may or may not plot about it. But it is going to be Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, who is probably my favorite author.
Which we're really excited about because if none of our picks won, we were going to have our biggest fan, Cindy, pick our book. And Cindy is on the 3rd book in the Mistborn series. And we had a whole conversation on the 4th of July with her fiance and their friends about Mistborn, and about Brandon Sanderson in general. So I'm excited to get into the Sanderson verse.
Me too.
Yep.
I am. My friend Tommy, for my birthday, gave me a whole bunch of books, and they were in, I think it was the whole Stormlight saga.
Nice.
Yeah,
So I'll eventually read them, but I hear he's great.
yeah.
Not Tommy, Brandon Sanderson.
Tommy's great too.
He's fine.
Shouts out Tommy. Does
Wow.
Tommy listen to the pod?
He doesn't. You suck, bro. All
He's
right.
never going to hear it then.
Yeah, I know. That's what we do. All right. Thank you all for listening. Bye.
But that's your homework. You should read
yeah.
the first
Oh my God, we have no
certain
idea.
chapters. Pause.
Oh, I'm not pausing.
Okay, we can say let's
I'm not
start with
pausing.
10,
So
and
I'm
we can
drinking. This segment is brought to you by Austin East Cider's Blackberry Hard Cider. Beth, I hope you're not listening to this.
It's July. Beth is not listening to this.
Thank
No,
God.
and also like Beth would be fine with us drinking in July.
Beth would appreciate a hard cider.
Yeah. One time I can't scroll and do this at the same time, but one time we were on the civil rights trip and we ran out of wine, and Beth and Mary and Holiday and I drove in the charter bus to Publix to get more wine for everybody.
Back when you could drink on trips.
Well, you can drink on the civil rights trip because the parents are supervising their children.
Fair.
So you're not, I don't know, how many chapters are there?
Well, all I know is I want to read from Blood and Ash.
All right, well, we're reading the first 10 chapters of Phantasma. We're just calling it 10 chapters and we'll figure it out.
Great. First 10 chapters. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye! Hi, guys. We just did some math, and if we read 10 chapters per part, we'd be recording like 5 parts. So we're going to do it in 3 parts instead. So that's chapters 1 through 17 of Phantasma is your homework.
So we're stopping when we see 17?
You're stopping when you see 18.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye!